Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name is VinPF, and if this is your first time on the channel, do consider subscribing to the channel. I put out stuff just like this, and reviews and things like that every Thursday. This particular episode is dedicated to the entire year of 2017. It's been an absolutely fantastic year for me, my first complete year, and I decided to do a no-nonsense whisky of the year, just like I did last year. Last year, however, I just picked my personal preferences, which I will do again today. But I decided to throw out every single one of the drams that I tried on the channel this year to the people on my Twitter feed. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I recommend you go over there. I'm at NN Whisky, and I put out polls like this all the time, just general chit chat. Of course, I share my videos and things like that, but it's more of an outreach to the people who watch the channel. It's a brilliant platform and I like to use it. But that's where I put all my polls and things like that. So I compiled all of my things together, and I had something like 56 different drams that I tried throughout the year. I compiled them into 14 groups of 4 as a bit of a group stages and let everybody choose what they wanted. So I'm going to go through each of those groups quickly, let you know how they got on, and then go through a kind of knockout period after that until we had our final winner as chosen by the Twitter folk. And then I'll give you a quick description of the things that I had to stand out for my personal tastes, and we'll enjoy the year's whisky. So let's have a quick look on the old lappy and see what we got. So as you can see, in group 1, we had the few British Bourbon Society bourbon and the Four Roses small batch make it through. The Maker's Mark and the Glenfiddich Project 20, they actually got through because I needed to get 32. So they won through because they got voted highest. The Hibiki Japanese Harmony, the Laphroaig 10, made it through from Group 2. Group 3 was Glenfiddich IPA and Highland Park 18. Group 4 was the Yamazaki Sherry Cask 2013, which I tried this year. And then the Buffalo Trace George T Stag 2014, but also the Dalmore 12 made it through. Then Group 5 was the Few Rye and the Dalmore Lucio. Group 6, Lagavulin 16, big heavy hitter, and the Hibiki 12, also massive, really tough group that one. Group 7 was the Balcones Baby Blue and the Nika from the Barrel. Group 8 was William Le Ruella 2015, and the Famous Grouse. Didn't have much of a competition to get through there, so it was pretty easy for the Famous Grouse to sneak in. The Lagavulin 8 Years was in Group 9, as well as the Compass Box Great King Street Artists Blend. Group 10 saw the Basil Hayden's Bourbon and the Oban 14 go through. Group 11, the Glenfarclas 105 and the Yamazaki 18-year-old. Group 12 had the Four Roses Single Barrel and the Cotswolds inaugural release go through, but also dragged through the Hakushu Distillers Reserve. Group 13 was the William Le Ruella 2016 release and the Teeling Irish Single Malt. Group 14 was the Few Bourbon, the standard one, not the British Bourbon Society release, and the Michter's Small Batch. So a pretty exciting group stages there, and then we flicked over to a bit of a knockout stage where all of the winners from that particular group stages were reclassified and put through a random number generator to make sure it was completely even. That all went through into a bracket, which I'll put up on the screen now, and they faced off against each other one at a time on Twitter to see who went through to the next round, the next round, the next round, until we finally had a winner. Let's take a look at the how that went through. So as you can see, I won't go through this too much because it's a lot of names to read out, but the group of 32 was whittled down very quickly, and then straight on to the last 16, which was very exciting. Percentages are shown on there, but let's talk about the semi-finals and the quarter-finals. So we can see here in the quarterfinals, we had the Yamazaki 18 go up against the George T Stag 2015. Yamazaki won out. The Few British Bourbon Society had a really good run, but was finally knocked out by the Four Roses small batch. Lagavulin 16, who had been kind of 50-50ing its way through most of the competition, it's managed to see off a big heavy hitter, the William Le Ruella 2015. And then finally Highland Park 18-year-old managed to see off the Yamazaki Sherry Cask, which was incredible. In the semi-finals, the Yamazaki 18 heads off against the Four Roses small batch, and incredibly won out by a mere 55%. I didn't see that one coming, even though I do love that dram. And of course, the Lagavulin 16 facing off against the Highland Park 18. Not as close as I expected it to be, actually. The Lagavulin 16 won out by 57%. And that brings us on to the final itself. The Four Roses small batch versus the Lagavulin 16. Wasn't in my predictions at all, but it was a big face-off. Two completely different whiskies from different parts of the world facing off against each other to see which ones would vote for. I actually got quite a lot of votes for this one, way more than I did got for any of the others. But in the end, the Lagavulin 16 won out with 66%, and that makes the Lagavulin 16 the No-Nonsense Whisky of the Year, as voted for by the people on Twitter. Absolutely fantastic dram, well worth your time. Round about sort of £50, and I think if you haven't tried it already, it's definitely worth trying. It's a smoky whiskey, obviously, an Islay whiskey, so it's not your kind of average go-to if you're not into those kind of flavours. This year I've really broken into the kind of Islay and smoky, peaty whiskey, so I'm really starting to enjoy that. And I really would like to get a bottle of the Lagavulin 16 just to enjoy off camera, because I have covered it already, as it's in the thing. For me though, it wasn't my personal favourite of the year. I would have to say that my personal favourite of this year, 2017, that I covered on the channel, for Scotch, it would be the Highland Park 18 year, which, as we know from the Twitter poll, didn't make it through past Lagavulin 16. Yeah, it's a bit too expensive for my tastes now, but if you can get it for a good price, it's definitely worth going for. Now, my favourite bourbon of the year, this is a bit of a weird one because I only really got into bourbons this year as well, and I tried a lot. But for me, my personal go-to was the Four Roses single barrel. Surprisingly, didn't make it very far in the group stages and then on into the elimination that I ran for Twitter. But that's how these things go. It depends on who's on at the time, and you know, these things run for a day, and if people don't see them, retweet them, whatever, then a favourite is gonna knock it out. But for me, that was my favourite bourbon of the year, even above things like the William LaRue Wellers that I managed to try. But that's purely for availability. I think although those heavy hitters are fantastic, you can't get them anymore, and if you can get them, they're well over the odds. But for the Four Roses small batch, you frequently get it on Amazon and on deals and things like that for sort of £40 to £50, and it's kind of where it sits usually, and it's absolutely fantastic whiskey. If you ever get a chance to try it, I heavily recommend it. Well, there you go, just a nice short video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. This is the No-Nonsense Whisky of the Year. If you want to follow me on Twitter and things like that, you can get involved in more polls like this in the future. I'll definitely do this again next year, maybe with a few tweaks, we'll see. What was your whiskey of the year? Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, see what you think. And here's to a brilliant 2017. I've got lots of good stuff coming up in 2018, starting with my personal collection video, which is going to go live in the first week in January. Do check that out. And of course, don't forget to check out other content on the channel and click the like button. And of course, finally, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.